visiting Vrindavan. During this visit, the plan has been to go to places that I have a plan to visit while in Vrindavan during Kartik month. Kartik hasn't started yet, but it will soon. And then many, many devotees from all over the place will be converging on Vrindavan. There are some devotees there that are making advance arrangements with buses and prashadam and accommodations and this and that. And they said that there's about 3 to 3.5 times the number of pilgrims in Vrindavan presently than normally, because the pandemic wave has diminished and they're showing up in big numbers. So let's see what it'll be like, even just to get around. Probably going to be crowded. But we're going to go to some places today where there are probably not going to be so many people. They're a little bit removed or a little more secluded. A few places, Dhruva Tila and Krishna Kund. They're in Madhuvan. And Talavan is also very close by, just a few kilometers. And then Shatrughna Temple. And it's all in pretty much the same area of Brajmandala. So let's start by visiting Dhruva Tila. Tila means hill, and Dhruva Tila is the hill where he went at the indication of Narada Muni to perform austerities to get the mercy of Lord Vishnu so he could get the kingdom that he wanted. And we'll tell the story briefly. This is the bottom of the steps, going up a long flight of steps to get to now nicely renovated temple area. So we'll be able to sit here with a large group. Our group is also larger than normal. And there's just one sadhu who's here. Shh.
You already gave him 5 minutes.
Yeah. The bell rang. Okay. There's altars at the far end, and I was going to say there's one sadhu, very, very gentle personality, very kind, and treats all the people, the pilgrims that come, very respectfully, and he has nice qualities. So he's still there. Here's one of the altars. There's on our left is Narada and Dhruva on our right, and of course Lord Vishnu, who came to reciprocate with the austerities of Dhruva. Same altar, same deities, different day, different deity outfit. And I don't know who that is in front of Narada, little small deity of some kind. And a much closer, very clear image. Now that small deity isn't here in this photograph, but Narada with his veena, Dhruva, small Dhruva, and Lord Vishnu. On another altar, I don't read Hindi, but I had somebody read it for me. Garuda, I don't know why Garuda. Garuda brought Lord Vishnu, I guess, and Lakshmi Narayan. And on another altar, Sri Hari Sri Nathji, both signs in front of this middle deity, darkish colored deity, and then Uddhava. I don't know the connection between Uddhava and Dhruva Tila, but there he is. And at the base of Dhruva Tila, or not exactly there, but very, very close, is Krishna Kund. Nice place, very large. And Krishna Kund, there's not a lot to say about Krishna Kund, but Krishna Kund is a place where during Krishna's pastimes, when they were grazing the cows in the forest, this is a place they very much like to come to give water for the cows. And it just happened to be a nice gathering place to go up the hill to Dhruva Tila. So I'm going to narrate briefly the pastime of Dhruva, which I'm sure everybody knows. So I'll just speak it briefly. Dhruva lived during the early part of Satya Yuga. Shortly after the creation by Lord Brahma, there were arrangements for the various personalities who would assist in creating population, the Prajapatis, and Swayambhuva Manu and his wife were directly manifest from the body of Lord Brahma, and they had 2 sons and 3 daughters. The first daughter that's spoken about at length is in the 3rd canto, and that's Devahuti. She married Kardama Muni. And the next member of that family that's talked about is the sons. So there were 2 sons, Priyavrata and Uttanapada. Uttanapada was the younger son, but the older son deferred the kingdom to his younger brother because he just wanted to go perfect his life in devotion in the forest, and so his father agreed. And Uttanapada became the king. Uttanapada, as the king, had 2 queens. One was the elder queen, and the firstborn son was Dhruva. The younger queen was the king's favorite, and so Suniti and Suruchi. And the younger queen was the king's favorite, and the story. One day, the younger brother, the stepbrother of Dhruva, was on his father's lap. And little boy wanted to also sit on his father's lap. So he started to climb up on his father's lap. His father was happy for that. But the nasty second queen, I call her Sunasti. She's not Suruchi, she's Sunasti. And she ordered him to get down and said something really heavy. She said, "You're not going to sit on your father's lap. You're not going to sit on your father's throne. And because you weren't born from my womb. If you want to sit on your father's lap, you'll have to die first. Then you take birth again from my womb, and then you can sit on your father's lap. So there. Get down." Dhruva looked at his father, like, "Protect me." But his father said nothing, because if he said something, then Sunasti might not be nice to him. And so he said nothing. Dhruva understood what that meant. He burst out in tears, ran from the palace, went to find his mother, because his mother was in disfavor of the king, not just not favored, but disfavor. He just neglected her. She wasn't even in the palace. She was staying in some other place, a little remote. So Dhruva ran to his mother, crying and crying and crying. He couldn't even talk. She heard from the others what had happened. And then she gave him some transcendental teachings, which are very beautiful. And he explained what he wanted. He wanted not just to sit on his father's lap, and not just to become the next king after his father's departure, but he wanted a kingdom better than his father. He wanted a kingdom better than his father's father. He wanted a kingdom better than his father's father's father. That means better than Lord Brahma. And that means the spiritual world. And his mother said, your grandfather, Lord Brahma, great-grandfather, Lord Brahma, he achieved what he achieved by devotion to Vishnu. And his son achieved what he achieved. Swayambhuva Manu achieved what he achieved by that method. And Brahma achieved what he achieved by that method. So she didn't say anything about her husband. If you want something so extraordinary like this, Vishnu can do anything. You need his favor. Good advice. And then she went on to describe the glories of devotional service to Vishnu. Very nice. She was not only she was learned, although not an educated, super educated person. She was a very devoted person. She understood Lord Vishnu and his greatness, and she advised him, "You become very devoted to him, and anything becomes achievable through Vishnu." So he wanted to know, how do I find Vishnu? The little boy. And she said, I've heard that sages, they go to the forest and somehow they find Vishnu. So he said, okay, I'm going to the forest. And he went to the forest in a huff. And when he went to the forest, word spread, the son of the king has gone to the forest. The word went to Narada. Narada said, let me pay a visit. He visited Dhruva. He found Dhruva in the forest. And Dhruva immediately understood this is a great sage. So he expressed himself to Narada. Narada gave him very similar instructions as his mother had given him. You're not going to find Vishnu by a get-back mentality. You have to give up that mentality. You can get to that position through the mode of goodness, not this one. And he gave different explanations of why it wasn't the right thing to do. Go back to the palace, grow up. When you come out, when you get a little older, then you can come out and try. You're too young. This is very severe. Anything could happen. Dhruva listened and then said, your instructions are excellent. The problem is, I'm not. I'm a Kshatriya spirited boy, and I want a kingdom, and you're a sadhu, and you probably can tell me how to get the kingdom. And my mom said, Vishnu Bhakti, can you give me the means to get the kingdom? You saw the boy was determined, and so he gave him details and details and details and details and details. Lots of details. Deity worship, mantra meditation, austerities, everything. A place to go. He gave him a place in Vrindavan. He didn't say Dhruva Tila, but a place in Vrindavan. Madhuvan specifically, and here's what you do. And he gave him the full instruction what to do. So, including his mantra, You all know his mantra, right? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Dhruva circumambulated. You had a question. He circumambulated Narada 3 times, folded palms, and this little boy, very young, and off he went to Madhavan. And he found a nice place on top of this hill. He took his bath at Krishna Kund and went up to the top of the hill and started doing his austerities. And they're very severe. Each month it incrementally increased, or you could say decreased. His intake diminished and then diminished and diminished till eventually he just took a breath of air every 7 days. It became and chanted his mantra. So how do you chant your mantra without air? But anyways, he chanted his mantra, and by his consciousness became absorbed in Vishnu. Vishnu Bhakti, not only through austerities, but through, and not, he wasn't a pure devotee, he wanted a kingdom. He was very intensely motivated. Get the kingdom, Kshatriya spirit, get back at my insulting stepmother and my father who'd said nothing when she insulted me. So all of that became cleansed by the bhakti process, and his consciousness became absorbed in Vishnu. So much so that by his curtailing his breathing, it had the effect of stopping the flow of air in the whole universe. And so the people in the whole universe became choked up, including the demigods. So the demigods went to Lord Vishnu at the shore of the Milk Ocean, Sweta Dweep, in the Kshirodaksha, where Kshirodaksha Vishnu resides, and they offered their Prusha Sukta prayers to Lord Vishnu, who then informed them Oh, okay. It's okay. He informed them, Vishnu informed the demigods, don't worry, it's just a little boy. He's doing some austerities and I'll go take care of it. Everything will be nice. You can go back to your heavenly abodes. So they went, and then Vishnu appeared directly in front of Dhruva, on top of Dhruva Tila. And when Vishnu appeared, Dhruva was in samadhi, fixed his mind and his heart on Lord Vishnu. But suddenly Vishnu disappeared. And he was startled. And when he was startled, he opened his eyes and he saw the same Lord Vishnu standing before him. Same Lord Vishnu. Having arrived there on the back of Garuda. So it's Garuda's at the... Okay. Garuda's at the temple. Garuda deity is at the temple. So he wanted to... He paid obeisances. He wanted to offer some prayers, but he wasn't educated, so it's hard to offer prayers when you don't know what to say. So Lord Vishnu touched his forehead with his conch shell, surcharging the body and consciousness and the whole being of little Dhruva, so that he became fully enlightened, and then he, little Dhruva, started offering prayers. Wonderful, wonderful prayers to Lord Vishnu. And then Lord Vishnu spoke, saying, you wanted a kingdom? It's yours. I've made an arrangement for you to have you'll go back. So he gave him the forecast for the rest of his life. You go back at a certain stage, your father's kingdom will become yours, and you'll rule that kingdom for some 64,000 years, or whatever the number was. And then you'll come to me. There's a place for you. It's called Dhruva Loka, or the planet that you wanted that's better than the planet of Lord Brahma, the place to rule. You have a spot saved for you. And Vishnu departed. And when he departed, Dhruva began to cry. I mean, there was a mix of ecstasy and a mix of sadness, because he no longer had this desire for a kingdom. And what he was thinking is, because I was so stupid, having a desire for something material, if I hadn't had that desire for something material, then I could have gone with Lord Vishnu to the spiritual world directly. But now I've lost his association because I had this stupid desire for something material. No, he didn't say stupid, but he in another one of the Puranas, Prabhupada often quotes this verse from another one of the Puranas, where he says to Vishnu, before Vishnu departed, I was searching foolishly for some broken glass, and instead I've achieved this valuable jewel. The valuable jewel is Lord Vishnu's association. That's accessible only through Vishnu Bhakti, and otherwise not accessible. So he was crying. Again, little boy, he's 6 years old, 6 months older. 6 months. Perfection in 6 months. Whew. It was intense. And his austerities were unbelievable. I mean, we couldn't live. But he did. And so he went back to his kingdom. There's a big celebration, etc. But that's the rest of the Dhruva story is also very nice. But we're just visiting Dhruva Tila, where he did his austerities, and became free from. So the Dhruva story is a perfect, most perfect illustration of going from Sakam Bhakti to Nishkam Bhakti. So it's having desire to get something material from Vishnu isn't Shuddha Bhakti. But Tivra Bhakti, this is Bhagavatam now, 2nd chapter, 2nd canto. Tivra Bhakti is such that one can become freed from even material desire through Tivra, intense, strong devotional service. Nice verse. You know the verse? Akama sarvakamo va mokshakama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Yajeta purusham param. So one can achieve the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through Tivra Bhakti, whether the door is this one, that one, or the other one. Tivra Bhakti accomplishes seeing the personality of Godhead and achieving His mercy. So, that's our first visit to Dhruva Tila and Krishna Kund. Now, the plan, because it's hard for buses to go from there to Talavan, we'll just speak about Talavan when we'll sit at Krishna Kund. It's a very nice place, very quiet, no noise and people buzzing around, and it's a very quiet place, very nice. Near Madhuvan is Talavan. And the story, the pastime of Krishna connected with Talavan is, do you know the story? What's the story? What's the name? Dhenukasura, right? Huh? Yeah. I'm looking at this young girl in the front. I like to pick on kids so they feel, encouraged. You don't feel picked on, do you? Do you know the story of Dhenukasura? Okay, we're going to narrate. Balaram kills the ass demon Dhenukasura. So this is during the childhood phase of Krishna's pastimes. And during the childhood phase of Krishna's pastimes, the spotlight goes largely to the wonderful life of the cowherd boys, or Sakyarasa. The focus shifts through different rasas, and the Sakyarasa phase is very, very special. So the beginning part is they're playing and they're playing and they're playing, and there are different ways that they're playing and engaging with one another. And there's several chapters that are like this, the pastimes of the little boys with their cows and the cowherds. Now, a stage comes after that playfulness is abundantly described, comes the Talavan part, where some of the cowherd boys, Sri Dham, the very close friend of Rama and Krishna, along with Subal, Stoker Krishna, and others, lovingly spoke the following words. So it's, daily playfulness. Then, "O Rama, Rama, mighty armed one, O Krishna, destroyer of the miscreants, not far from here is a very great forest filled with rows of palm trees. In that Talavan forest, many fruits are falling from the trees, and many are already lying on the ground, but all the fruits are being guarded by the evil Dhenuka." So they're just narrating, and in the image, the painting is meant to show what they're narrating. There's Dhenuka, looking mean. There's the cowherd boys in the background running from Dhenuka because he's really mean. And then there's the tal fruits with the fruits dropping from the trees. Hearing the words of their dear companions, Krishna and Balaram laughed, and, desiring to please them, set off for the Talavan, surrounded by their cowherd boyfriends. The demon Dhenuka had eaten men alive, and therefore all people and animals were terrified of going to the Tal forest. "Oh, killer of the enemy, even the birds are afraid to fly there." This is the cowherd boys talking about, the dangers of Dhenuka and going to the Tal forest. "Oh, Krishna, please get those fruits for us. Our minds are so attracted by their aroma. Dear Balaram, our desire to have those fruits is very great. If you think it's a good idea, let's go to that Tal forest." So now, this is one of the demons that Balaram kills. Picking on you again. Do you know the other demon that Balaram kills? He is Dhenukasura, and the other one is? Think about it. The wrestling match, and he has to carry Balaram on his shoulders. Starts with a P. Pralambasura. See, I knew you knew. Pralambasura and Dhenukasura. Okay. So Balaram stepped forward and Krishna stepped back. Balaram entered the tal forest first. Then, with his 2 arms, he began forcefully shaking the trees with the power of a maddened elephant, causing the tal fruits to fall to the ground. There's the boys collecting the tal fruits. There's some other boys looking around like, where's Dhenukasura? He's going to come here and harass us. Sure enough, hearing the sound of the falling fruits, the ass demon Dhenuka ran forward to attack, making the earth and trees tremble. Now this is a painting that's kind of fast forward a little bit, because Balaram, he's trying to kick Balaram with his hind legs, because asses do that, but Balaram grabbed his hind legs and worked the other way around. The powerful demon rushed up to Lord Baladev and sharply struck the Lord's chest with the hooves of his hind legs. Then Dhenuka began to run about, braying loudly. You've heard a donkey bray? They're really loud. They're really loud. They have these big bodies and... Whew. Moving again toward Lord Balaram, the furious ass situated himself with his back toward the Lord, then screaming in rage, the demon hurled his 2 hind legs at him. Well, that was a mistake. There's Balaram tossing him in the air like a feather. Lord Balaram seized Dhenuka by his hooves, whirled him about with one hand, and threw him into the top of a palm tree. The violent, wheeling motion killed the demon. And Krishna's there cheering. Cowherd boys have their sticks raised. Get him! Now look over on the right side. Some more of his buddies are coming also. Because of Lord Balaram's pastime of throwing the body of the ass demon into the top of the tallest palm tree, all the trees began shaking and striking against one another as if blown about by powerful winds. Now here's Krishna's also twirling some of them around. The other ass demons, you see in the back, running towards Krishna and Balaram, close friends of Dhenukasura, were enraged upon seeing his death, and thus they all immediately ran to attack Krishna and Balaram. Well, they got the worst of it. So there's the same image again from Krishna book, and they're tossing them this way and that way, and they keep coming and they keep tossing them. The earth then appeared beautifully covered with heaps of fruits and with the dead bodies of the demons, which were entangled in the broken tops of the palm trees. Indeed, the earth shone like the sky decorated with clouds. Hearing of this magnificent feat of the 2 brothers, the demigods and other elevated living beings rained down flowers and offered music and prayers and glorification. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in 2 of his 100 books, describes Krishna's killing of the demons in Vrindavan represent Krishna's kindly removing obstacles on the path of a sadhaka. The obstacles on the path of a sadhaka are unwanted things within the heart, or anarthas within the heart. So Krishna killing the demons is Krishna assisting the sadhakas to become free from unwanted things in the heart. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, that the 2 demons that Balaram killed indicate something that the sadhaka needs to work on. Because Balaram is the original guru, and the guru will help one with these particular obstacles, but these particular obstacles are formidable. So the description is that Dhenukasura represents those who are grossly foolish, like hard-working beasts of burden. They want to enjoy the fruits of their labor by themselves, and so do not want to part with them for the Supreme. That was Dhenuka. He couldn't get the fruits, so he wanted no one should get the fruits. And he even ate people that came to get the fruits. He wasn't a nice guy. And he wanted to harm Krishna when Krishna came, or Balaram when Balaram came. But that didn't work either. So it's envy and foolishness and attachment to the results of work. It's a big difficulty. He also writes, Dhenukasura represents gross materialistic intelligence, ignorance of spiritual knowledge. Now, there are scientists, Prabhupada liked to pick on the scientists, and the scientists also have intelligence, but it's misused, misapplied. And the term that's used in Bhagavad Gita that Prabhupada liked to speak about is Mayaya Parita Jnana. There are 4 types of people that do not surrender to Krishna. That's one of them. So the Dhenukasura folks are one of them. They don't want to surrender. They have some asset. In Dhenuka's case, it was the tall fruits. In the scientist's case, it's their intelligence. But Maya has stolen away their intelligence, according to what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. The Mayaya Pratagyanis are those persons whose erudite knowledge has been nullified by the influence of illusory material energy. They are mostly very learned fellows, great philosophers, poets, literati, scientists, etc., but the illusory energy misguides them, and therefore they disobey the Supreme Lord. We all know who that is on the lower right. That's Charles Darwin, right? With his understanding of evolution, etc., 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 etc. Another fellow on the left, he's making a scientific plan how to make a sandwich. And those jars in the back are jellies and jams and peanut butter and different things you make sandwiches with. And a nice diagram how to make a sandwich. Okay. So that's Talavan. Talavan. So Dhruva Tila, Krishna Kund, Talavan. I mean, it's not the same as climbing up the stairs and sitting in front of the altar and having nice kirtan and so forth. But here we are, visiting virtually. And very interestingly, very close by Krishna Kund and Dhruva Tila is the Shatrughna Temple. Now, who's Shatrughna? Shatrughna is one of the 4 brothers who were sons of Dasarath, the elder brother being Lord Ram, and of course the celebrated Lakshmana and Bharata and Shatrughna, the 4 brothers. So his role in Madhuvan was he was given the assignment, or he volunteered, to go to Madhuvan and deal with the demon named Lavanasura. I can narrate, and I was thinking I could narrate or I can read because it's really nice. I double-checked the text that's in Krishna Dharma's Ramayana is practically word for word from the Ganguli presentation, the English translation of Mahabharata in the final section, Uttarakanda. Almost word for word. No, so it's really nice. The details are nice. So he defeated Lavanasura and then ruled in Mathura for the rest of his life. In the understanding of these four, Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughna, they're the four, one of the ways that they're explained, commonly they're explained as being Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Anybody here not know who those four are? Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. You've heard of them? Just in Krishna Loka, Krishna's there. That's Vasudeva Krishna, right? And Balaram is Sankarshan. So Vasudeva, Sankarshan, and then Krishna's son, first son, the son of Krishna and Rukmini was Pradyumna. Pradyumna's first son, Aniruddha. Shatrughna is Aniruddha of the Chaturvyuha. So there's a temple. This is a photograph, a recent photograph. When I first visited there was some number of years ago. It didn't look like this. It was kind of like embarrassing. It was like a little box that he had to. No one was there to attend it. You had to open the box. That was the altar, and then inside was this deity of Shatrughna. But now this nice structure is here, with even a nice little railing to let people in and out. And on the altar there's Prabhupada's picture and Panchatattva's picture, which means ISKCON has been there. And there's the deity and the Utsav deity, because the Utsav deity was what was there before, small deity, on a little Vyasasan, or asana, little throne. And when the four brothers were married, Shrutakirti became the wife of Shatrughna. So when Shatrughna went there to deal with Lavanasura, eventually he ruled there for 12 years, went back to visit in Ayodhya. Ram sent him back again to stay. I'll read, it's very nice. And here's another photo. Again, there's Prabhupada and Panchatattva and same deities. Compared to what was there before, it's actually very nice. Maybe in the course of time it'll be even nicer, but it's very simple. Little place. But the history is pretty fantastic. Now, the history goes something like, well, I'll read. It's really nice. The scene, this is in Uttarakhanda, the final section of Valmiki Ramayana, and Ram is ruling in Ayodhya, and one of the things that Ram did when ruling Ayodhya is, at an appointed time, anyone in his kingdom, which means the world, could come and share some grievance. Personally, he would hear. And there's two examples that come prior to this. A dog comes. Anyway, he was very kind. Ram was very kind. So one of those days, it was the grievance was coming from Chavana Muni and the sages that lived in Madhupuri. Madhupuri was part of the kingdom. But the king in Madhupuri was a demon. So let's hear. While Ram was seated upon the royal throne, Sumantra informed him that some rishis, headed by Chavana, had come to see him. The Brahmanas were then escorted in, bearing gifts of fruit and water collected from holy places. After worshipping the rishis, Ram inquired as to the purpose of their visit, assuring them, here's a blank check, assuring them he was prepared to execute their command. Chavana Muni replied, "My dear Lord Ram, in Satya Yuga, previous yuga, there was a most pious Daitya, kind of like Prahlad. He was born in a Daitya family, but he was very pious. So, in Satya Yuga, there was a most pious Daitya named Madhu, who was the son of Loka. Being very pleased with Madhu, Lord Shiva awarded him an invincible lance. Madhu then requested that his descendants might also possess this lance, but Rudra explained that this was not possible. However, Chavana Muni is explaining, Lord Shiva at last agreed that the lance could be transferred to Madhu's son only. Thus, at the time of his death, the Daitya handed over the weapon to his son, Lavanasura. O Ram, this offspring of Madhu and Kumbinasi was a cousin sister of Ravana, is now residing at Madhuvan because he has become very formidable. He is greatly oppressing the rishis, like Chavana Rishi. My dear Lord, you've already destroyed Ravana and his followers. We now beg you to please save us from the hands of Lavanasura. Immediately Ram said, it's done. Consider it done. I'll kill this Rakshasa. Then he turned to his two brothers. Well, specifically Bharata or Shatrughna. Shall I kill them myself, or would either of you like to do? Immediately, Bharata said, I'll do. Shatrughna then pleaded, my dear Ram, during your exile, Bharata had to suffer so greatly, therefore, please grant me permission to destroy Lavanasura. Ram replied, O Shatrughna, let it be so. Indeed, I shall crown you at once, the king of Madhuvan. Hearing this, Shatrughna felt most ashamed and protested, O Lord, it is not proper to install a younger brother as king in the presence of his elder brother. However, your words cannot go in vain, and I must carry out your order. I now realize that it was wrong to protest Bharata's request. It is unrighteous for a younger brother to oppose his elder brother's wishes. I must have been prompted to do so by my evil stars. Ram was pleased to hear Shatrughna speak in this way. He then asked Lakshmana and Bharata to make arrangements for their brother's coronation at once. Thereafter, when Shatrughna was crowned as king of Madhuvan, he shone like the radiant sun. Thus the rishis, headed by Chavana, were fully assured by this sight. Ram then said, my dear Shatrughna, it is Lavanasura's habit to keep his lance inside his house when he goes out to collect food. It is only when he is challenged to fight that he takes up his invincible weapon. Therefore, you must confront the demon when he is outside. When you do this, block his entrance so that he may not go into his house. Take 4,000 horse soldiers, 2,000 chariot warriors, and 1,000 infantry with you. Let merchants also accompany you, along with their wares, and bring actors and dancers. Likewise, take 1,000,000 gold coins to pay the soldiers' salaries. Proceed in a way that will disguise your motive, for only by intercepting him unaware and unarmed will you be able to emerge victorious. Shatrughna first dispatched his army against Lavanasura, and then 1 month later he set out. After passing 2 nights on the way, Shatrughna reached the ashram of Valmiki during the 3rd day. Shatrughna explained to Valmiki how he had been dispatched on a mission by the order of Lord Ram. Thus, the rishi extended his hospitality. That night, as Shatrughna remained at Valmiki's ashram, Sita Devi gave birth to twin sons at midnight. Receiving the news from his disciples, Valmiki performed the rituals with kusha grass to ward off ghosts and rakshasas, and gives their names. Shatrughna heard everything and was very happy to know that twin boys were born to Ram and Sita. In the morning, Shatrughna set out, and after journeying for 7 days, so 2 days plus 7 days, from Ayodhya to Vrindavan, he arrived at the ashram of Chavana Muni on the banks of the Jamuna River. That evening, as they were sitting at ease, Shatrughna inquired from Chavana Muni about the prowess of Lavanasura. The rishi replied, "O Prince, there was formerly a very powerful king in the dynasty of Ikshvaku named Mandata. This king was so ambitious that he made preparations for conquering the entire 3 worlds. As a consequence, even the demigods became afraid. Indra then approached Mandata and suggested, 'O king, you should first subjugate the entire earth before thinking of conquering heaven.' When, with great surprise, Mandata inquired, 'O Indra, where is that person on earth who has not come under my subjugation?' In reply, the king of heaven named Lavanasura, the son of Madhu, who resided at Madhuvan. Hearing this, Mandata angrily set out with his army. Thereafter, this is Chavana Muni explaining his prowess, when the king sent forth his envoy, upon arrival at Madhuvan, Lavanasura ate him up. With great rage, that's the envoy. With great rage, King Mandata challenged Lavanasura. Thus, the great demon came out of his city, wielding his terrible lance. Means finished. In an instant, that invincible weapon destroyed King Mandata, then returned to his hands. That's the program. Therefore, my dear Shatrughna, you must be sure to challenge this demon when he is away from home searching for food. Because once he's got that lance, you're not going to be victorious. Next morning, Lavanasura went to the forest to hunt for animals. In his absence, Shatrughna crossed the river Jamuna and then besieged the city of Madhuvan. At noon, when Lavanasura returned home, bearing heaps of dead animals, he saw Shatrughna standing at the city gates. Lavanasura simply laughed with derision and said, "Oh, fool! Regardless of your audacity, all your weapons shall be of no avail. Indeed, it is my great fortune that have you arrived at my mealtime." Shatrughna then challenged, "I am the younger brother of Lord Ram and Bharata, and my name is Shatrughna. I have come here to slay you as a just reward for your wicked deeds." Lavanasura again laughed heartily, saying, "Even though Ram killed Ravana, the brother of my maternal aunt Shurparnaka. So there's the family connection with Ravana through marriage. I merely excused him out of contempt, for I did not consider him worthy of my challenge. A fierce duel ensued between the two warriors. Then Lavanasura suddenly struck Shatrughna over the head with a large tree, causing him to fall unconscious on the ground. Thinking his adversary to be slain, Lavanasura proceeded to pick up his animal carcasses and enter his city. However, within a brief moment, Shatrughna came to his senses. Standing up, he placed a supremely powerful arrow upon his bowstring. Indeed, even the demigods were struck with fear upon seeing the terrible arrow, quickly seeking the shelter of Lord Brahma. This demigod's going to Lord Brahma. The grandsire then explained, my dear celestials, with this arrow, Lord Vishnu formerly killed Madhu and Kaitaba. Ram has given this arrow to Shatrughna, knowing well that it would be put to use at this time. You should all go witness with your own eyes the death of this great demon. So the arrow of Vishnu with Shatrughna given by Ram to kill Lavanasura. Shatrughna then released that wonderful arrow, and after soaring magnificently through the air, it pierced Lavanasura's heart, making him fall to the ground dead. Thus, the victorious Shatrughna shone like the sun, and the demigods praised him for his wonderful achievement. Thereafter, Shatrughna settled at Madhuvan. Residing there with his army and followers, he built a great city there, which soon became highly prosperous. It was only after 12 years that Shatrughna at last decided to return to Ayodhya. So it describes he went back the same way he came, 7 days, hermitage of Valmiki. The boys are now 12 years old, and he hears them recite Ramayana, the pastimes of Ram, trained by Valmiki. He's really impressed. And then for another 2 days' journey, the next morning, he goes to see Ram. Upon entering the royal palace, Shatrughna saw Ram seated like a second Indra, surrounded by his ministers. Bowing before his elder brother, Shatrughna said, my dear Ram, I have carried out your command and killed the wicked Lavanasura. Since that time, I have been residing at Madhupuri. By your mercy, it has become extremely prosperous. My dear brother, I am most aggrieved living in separation from you for these past 12 years. Therefore, I beg you to give me permission to now reside in Ayodhya without going anywhere else in the future. And Ram says no. Nice no. Ram warmly embraced Shatrughna and replied, my dear brother, you should not speak like this. A heroic Kshatriya must not express such sorrow or feel any inconvenience while living in a distant kingdom. It is the duty of a king to rule over his subjects according to religious principles. Thus, you have to return to Madhupuri. I hope, of course, you may visit Ayodhya from time to see me. My dear Shatrughna, you are more dear to me than life itself. Therefore, please stay here for 7 days before setting out. 12 years and 7 days. With a sorrowful heart, Shatrughna assented, and after spending 7 days in Ayodhya, he left for his own kingdom. So he ruled. So Madhupuri eventually became Mathura. it's described that it was called Madhupuri until the termination of the rule of the solar dynasty, or Surya dynasty, sun dynasty, and then when it shifted to the moon dynasty, it accepted the name Mathura. Same place. So somehow, I don't know the reason why, but somehow the Shatrughna Temple is in Madhuvan. And as you saw, it's a simple place, but of great significance. Two yugas ago, but of significant importance in the history of Greater India. And that's our visit for this evening. Dhruva, Tila, Krishna, Kund, Talavan, Shatrughna Temple. Preparing and presenting like this is making me more and more eager to go to Vrindavan. And it's not going to be easy. Put it this way. We will not be able to live stream. We'll be able to record everything and then post it that evening, because that's the plan, at least. That's what we've done in the past. And then people, the other parts can see later. I wish you were there. So that's it for this visit in Detroit. Tomorrow I'm going to program at Northwestern University and then some other things. So we'll see you when I come back again. And otherwise we'll, wave to you from Vrindavan. See if there's some discussion. Any topics you'd like discussed? Over here? You have something? Did you get that document about?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you again, Maharaj. I didn't get what kind of weapon Madhu had. Lance, invincible lance?
A lance, Lance. Not a trident, but a lance.
So lance is like
a spear.
Spear, okay. And thank you, Maharaj, for that. And from our other day's discussion about Vrindavan and Golok Vrindavan, can I ask that question?
You can ask. I don't know if I'll be able to answer it.
If it's okay. So I was, maybe I'm oversimplifying the, overall understanding, but you can correct me, please. That we talked about whether Radharani is Swaki or Parakiya in Goloka Vrindavan.
I got the answer to that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Please share.
This is, from Dhruva Maharaj, who's like immersed into it up to here. In Vaikuntha, Swakiya. In Dwaraka, Swakiya. In Goloka, Parakiya.
Thank you. Otherwise, I was thinking that...
you can keep thinking.
What I was sharing is that to be in the spiritual world is the fundamental requirement is that you want to do whatever Krishna wants. And you want to, like, everything...
But what does Krishna want? I mean, that's just Vaikuntha. That's also what Krishna wants. For of a certain mood. So there's reciprocation. It's not only...
So from our end, it is Parakiya for Gol.
Well, that's from, that's the topmost. But there's others that, because Krishna includes everything, so the everything is also included.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I really want to appreciate all the years that you have traveled and visited us and given us this. Really, really appreciate that. I have two questions. First question is I just wanted to know, curious to know, who installed the deity of Shatrughna and like what is their mood of worship when they do
Of which deity?
Shatrughna and
Shatrughna?
Shuti?
I have no idea who installed. But it's the same mood as those who worship Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman.
Oh.
Same mood. Different feature of the Chaturvyuha, but same mood.
Maharaj, I had another question. Like every time you come, you share the pastimes of Vrindavan, and you always want to go back, visit. I'm a kind of person like one time I visit, I'm like I visited, that's enough. How do you develop that taste of wanting to go back, wanting to take that?
I'm thinking of Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, and when he conducts Govardhan Parikrama, one of the places he mentions is this celebrated sweet shop. It's just beyond, as you're going down the east side of Govardhan Hill, and you come to Manasi Ganga, and then in the middle is Govardhan town. And then you do this go through little juncture. You're going to Dan Nivartan Kund, but there's a sweet shop, and he always talks about it. And son papri, they are celebrated for their son papri, and he says it with such relish. I think he really likes their son papri. So if you really like son papri, you've had it once. Is that it? You wanted it. Even just talking about it, he seems so happy. So I've never tasted son papri from anywhere, as far as I know. But so if it's something that you really relish, you want to do it again and again. It's bhakti ras. It's something that you can't get enough of.
Every time you go, you prepare yourself.
Well, naturally. I mean, it makes the heart ready when you do anything, but especially go to a holy place. You make the heart ready, and then it gets more filled. Go ahead. What's next? Anything else?
I want to understand, like, how do you prepare yourself?
How? Prayer, hearing. The term in Bhagavad Gita, madashraya, taking shelter. There's something that the body does and something that the mind does. So the body, there's the hearing, chanting, remembering, praying, and then there's the mind. It's becoming absorbed in. This is our, you can say, our business, or it's our actual life. And so preparing for eternal life. That's how you do it. How do you prepare for eternal life? You become absorbed. Body, mind, and words. And then you go. Something else? Up front?
Maharaj, in the Dhruva Maharaj pastime, I missed one part. I didn't understand one part. When you described that when Lord Vishnu appeared in front of Dhruva Maharaj, he wanted to say something, but he didn't know how to. like he wanted to offer prayers, but he didn't know how to offer the prayers. And then did you say that at that point Vishnu took the conch and placed it on
Yes,
his head?
yes.
And that's what
He
gave...
just became so transcendentally enlivened that he could then speak eloquently, beyond his age and beyond his education, beyond anything material.
Okay. By the touch
By
of
the
conch.
touch.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it didn't have to be done that way. He did it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Lord Nrsingadev placed his hand or his paw on Prahlad's head. So it's not like you have to have something touch your head and then something magic happens. But it was just, an affection, like you pat a child or something like that.
And so I was reflecting that the Lord obviously knew, because what I heard is that he had a desire in the heart to offer something, but he just didn't know. And so I was just reflecting that, Krishna
Understood.
He hears the desires in our
Yes.
heart, even though we don't know how to execute what the desire is.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
just thought that was sweet. That
I mean, yes. There's so many nice examples of that. We narrated one the other day. Rupa Goswami's writing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and he has a desire to serve his brother. He didn't get touched on the forehead, but the Lord knew his desire and it was reciprocated with. In such a wonderful way. And sometimes it's not even a specific desire, like Madhavendra Puri. He wasn't desiring, I want to see Nandana, the cowherd boy. But, the cowherd, that Nandana, Gopal, wanted to see Madhavendra Puri. Here's another one. Rupa Goswami wanted to find Govindaji, and so Krishna helped him find Govindaji. Now, what's not often told, but here it's a detail, in relation to Vrinda Devi, we visited Vrinda Kund, he also found Vrinda Devi. No, the details of his finding Vrinda Devi I've searched for. I haven't found the details of how he found. But Vrinda Devi was also at Govindaji Temple, and when the original Govindaji was taken from Vrindavan, so was Vrinda Devi, but she's not there anymore. You've been to Govindaji Temple in Vrindavan. As you're looking at the temple, there's 5,000 monkeys, and in a broken top of the temple, and if you circumambulate around in the back left corner, there's a Lakshmi temple, and they don't let people in. There's some way to get in. I don't know what that way is. Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj told me there's a way to get in. I forget. So there's a deity down, because they wanted to hide the deities from Aurangzeb. Mm-hmm. So when all the deities were taken from Vrindavan, the Vrinda Devi wouldn't leave Vrindavan. Mm-hmm. So that's the deity that at Vrindakund or in Kamyavan today. Same deity.
that Rupa Goswami
That's
found.
Rupa Goswami's, the one that Rupa Goswami found. A lot of history here. And it's besides, hey, that's interesting. These are the actual deities that our Goswamis worshipped. And the wonderful, amazing stories. The reciprocation of the personality of Godhead with the devotees and the deities reciprocating with them. It's like very nice. Very nice. Is there anything else?
Yeah, the only other question was, in the story of Shatrughna defeating the demon, I didn't understand why he sent the armies before he went. because I thought the whole point was that he shouldn't
Sneak in.
alert. Yeah. So I just
Well,
logical point.
doesn't say. I can guess, but kings don't just sneak around. They go with an entourage, and some powerful people that can help them do what their mission is. So if you send a whole army, the sneaking is over. So that's it's counterintuitive. Why send the army when you want to sneak around?
Maybe
It
not.
wasn't exactly sneak around. It's just approach him when he's not at his palace. I think that's the main topic. And the army is there to help him, because supposing he was victorious, but then it doesn't say what happened. What about all his followers? Likely his followers would also want to do something. Take revenge. That's the material side of war. Fight back. So the army's needed. You'll bring in the army later when it's too late. Something else? Anyone? Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So my question is not really related to today's class, but I was wondering if you could elaborate the connection between Radha and Durga Devi.
Wow. Well, what is Durga Devi and what is Radha? Or who is Durga Devi and who is Radha? So we understand from the pastime of Krishna's birth that Durga is the expansion, the shadow expansion of Yogamaya. Correct? So now what's the relation between Yogamaya and Radha? Yogamaya is just a different potency. Yogamaya is the pastime potency, or the potency that enables she's the bewildering influence of the internal potency that helps make arrangements for Krishna's pastimes. And Radharani is the pleasure potency. So let's do this. It's just two different potencies, but her position is Krishna has spiritual potency in three parts. There are parts of his spiritual potency, or categories. So Sandini, Samvit, and Ladini. She's the Ladini portion of his Swarup Shakti. Swarup Shakti means his own potency. Or you can say his internal potency. Or you can say his spiritual potency. Or Antaranga Shakti. All those teams say the same thing. She's the pleasure potency portion of Krishna's Swarup Shakti. She, as Krishna's Swarup Shakti, is inseparable from Shaktiman. Radha is inseparable from Krishna. Yogamaya, of which Durga is the shadow reflection, Yogamaya is his pastime potency. So it's different. How many potencies does Krishna have? Unlimited. So they're different potencies. Their gender is female. That's something they hold in likeness. They're both operating within the spiritual realm exclusively, whereas Durga is acting within the material realm exclusively. And she, Durga, is in charge of the whole show. The material that Durga means, prison. She's the prison warden, or wardeness. It's her place. She's in charge. Okay? Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, after listening to this wonderful class about Vrindavan, I have never been to Vrindavan.
Oh, please come.
I want to.
We'll take you.
I'm from India, but I never got chance to visit the place. It was wonderful looking at all those places. But I always have one question.
One question only.
Always have that
always
one
one question. Okay.
So, comes into my mind whenever I think about why Krishna chose this earth belongs to him and everything belongs to him. Why Krishna chose on earth that Vrindavan as his birthplace to perform those pastimes? Why?
Well, it's an eternal place. The whole of the cosmic manifestation is created, maintained, and withdrawn. Vrindavan is not created, maintained, or withdrawn. It's right in Bhagavad Gita. This abode of the Supreme Lord is not material. The abode of the Supreme Lord is spiritual. When this place is kaput, that place remains. It's spiritual. So he appears where it's his place. It's his place. Is that so? Yeah, it's something like, if you're looking at me like I got holes in my head or something, but Krishna can expand without limit. Like we heard yesterday, Krishna expanded as identical features of each calf and cowherd boy. So much so even their moms didn't recognize, this isn't my son. It was like perfect. Because the one that was their son was Krishna's expansion anyways. But not the spiritual potency, but the material devotee. So, and then Krishna withdrew everything. He poof. And there's Brahma looking at Krishna, and there were so many cowherd boys and calves, and now there's just Krishna. Oh, Eko Bahusham. So as Krishna can expand, and then his presence can not be detected by Brahma or anybody. So his abodes, it's his abodes. Where Krishna is his abode. His abode isn't minus Krishna. Krishna isn't minus his abode. So he may be manifest or not manifest, but his abode is eternal and spiritual. It's not depending upon prakat or aprakat. It's eternal. So that when Krishna finished his pastimes, what happened? The manifest feature of Krishna's pastimes was withdrawn. Now the pastimes of Krishna are eternally taking place in his eternal abode. And he can have many abodes simultaneously, no problem.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Maharaj, I understood.
No, it's beyond our experience, so it's kind of like, wow, what's that all about? But it's just a transcendental reality, just like there's a soul within this body which we haven't seen, but the body is animated because of the presence of the soul that's within this body. And it exists. And then alongside with the soul, there's super soul. There's however many of us in this room, in the house, and there's one super soul within the heart of everyone. So, that's just a reality that we can't see, but we can understand through Scripture. And same way we can understand the abode of Krishna is his abode. It's eternally existing. It's not destroyed. He says in Bhagavad Gita. And other places. So it's his place. Why does he appear there? Because it's his place. Why not?
I'm thinking like, did somebody, did a lot of tapasya and asked him to come there, or he chose it? That's my.
Oh, there's a combination of many things, but he didn't appear because of tapasya. He appears because of his sweet will.
Why? Because
He's not bound by anybody or anything. He comes by his sweet will.
Yeah, here in America, nobody did that. So why he hasn't come here? That question always.
Who would want to come to
haunts
America,
me.
anyways?
Why? So the people from that location had done a lot. That's why he.
Certainly, Punya Bhumi.
Yeah, exactly.
But
that's my point.
But and why is it Punya Bhumi? It's the Lord's abode. People that go there, they become Punya, loaded. So go to Vrindavan and get Punya loaded up.
I want to.
Okay.
100% I want to. Thank you so much.
He came to America as a name form, right, Maharaj?
As a what?
Name form, holy name form.
Yeah, deity form too. Very merciful. Cleaning up a dirty place.
Oh, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
My question is related to the Mahamantra, where the Hare represents Hari, the vocative case of Hari, or is it Hara, the vocative case
Hara.
of Vara? Okay. Second is the Rama.
Did you understand the question? Anyone not understand the question? Okay. Okay. There's Hari, which means Krishna, and there's Hara, which means the potency of Hari. So in the vocative, it can be, when you're calling Hari, it becomes Hare. When you're calling Hara, it becomes Hare in the vocative. So he wanted to know, when you say Hare Krishna, is it calling Hari or is it calling Hara, the potency?
That is the question of
Yeah,
Mahamantra.
I'm just clarifying the question.
Sure. Thank you, Maharaj. And the second question is the Rama is again a question whether it is a Dashrathi Rama or it is Balarama.
The answer is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the answer is both, depending upon one's mood of bhakti. It can mean both. It does mean both, depending upon the mood of bhakti. It takes on that feature. The name takes on that feature.
So Maharaj, it is either, it is both of Balarama and Dashrathi Rama.
It can be either, and depends on the bhakti of the chanter,
Okay.
which feature will be manifest for them.
I see. So extending that question, the same question further with the first question, if Hara and we have Krishna there, this Rama could also mean Atma Rama, the vocative of that?
Yes. From Sanskrit rule, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that means, what is more pleasing to me in this too would be both, Hara and then Krishna, and then the next one is going to be an Atma Rama. That means it combines both of that in the same sense, rather than it is.
Your devotion
multiple.
determines the sequence.
Very good. I got it.
As long as it's within it follows Sanskrit rule, then your devotion determines the sequence. Krishna will reveal himself according to the bhakti of his bhakta.
Very good. Haribol.
Rahul?
This is sort of an extension question of his question. And I was wondering if Krishna in Hare Krishna can mean Krishna Chaitanya and Rama can mean Nityananda Rama.
Why get confused? It can. But we have Hare Krishna mantra and Panchatattva mantra to take care of the problem. So we don't get confused. Okay. I think we'll end. You have something? Oh, over here. We're not going to end yet.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. I wanted to properly digest and understand the Dhenukasura Anartha in the practicing sadhaka's life and what that means for us, like how we can translate that. Because I didn't fully digest it, and also how we defeat it.
Could you do it again? I didn't catch it. Slow.
I wanted to properly digest and understand the appearance of the Dhenukasura Anartha in the heart of the sadhaka.
You want to understand how Krishna's killing demons takes care of anarthas in the heart of the sadhaka?
The specific one of Dhenukasura, because you said that was one the sadhaka has to
Okay.
do.
So you want to know what Balaram's role is in this?
I want to know what there were some descriptions in the slideshow of what that looks like.
Yes.
And I wanted to better understand that.
How it looks like.
What it looks like in our life as a sadhaka.
Okay. Well, let's go to the Leela, where Dhenaka is territorial. This is my territory. This tall forest is my territory. Proprietorship of the result of activities. So that's what it looks like. And if I can't be the enjoyer of it, no one's going to be the enjoyer of it. So it's a prideful exclusivism. Work hard, and I'm going to be the enjoyer of my hard work. No one else is going to be the enjoyer of my hard work. And if I can't be the enjoyer, no one's going to be the enjoyer. To the point where I'm gonna deal with anybody that gets near the fruits of my work, and kick them, or kill them, or eat them, or whatever. So stop them. So terrorize people to get away from my stuff. So that's what it looks like.
Can I ask you a question?
I hope so.
So,
You got to use the microphone, though.
oh, sure.
Thanks.
See, everybody, I think have experienced this, and I just want to know your personal experience, like talking to God. I mean, I talk to God every day. Sometimes I get answers back, but how do you know for sure that it's Him answering and not your own mind, making calculations, or, mind plays dirty games. So how do you know? And again, it could be personal or, your experience.
Well, I'm going to answer it just scripturally. And it's starting with, we're covered. Unless one is a pure devotee, it's going to be, that the message is going to be filtered or colored or mixed. So that there's some message doesn't mean it's God's message. Generally, it means it's the mind, and I've got my receiver up, and it's my mind, and here comes a message into my mind, and I'm taking it as it's a message from God, because so generally speaking, because your question is how do I know? Generally speaking, that's what the signal is. It's the mind. So now, how do you get to from the mind to it's just a clear signal? It's not just the mind. That's the question. It requires purity, and there's a path for purification to get to purity. And the path for purification to get to purity is Tivra Bhakti. over a period of time, not just 5 minutes in the morning or something. It's it's a long period of time. There's a nice teaching I like from what's his name? The Patanjali Yoga Sutra, where practice has 3 elements. It's every day, for a long period of time, with great faith. That's his definition for what's abhyas, or practice. So practice can bring purity when those 3 elements are there. So the great faith means it's not just a behavior or a mechanical doing something, but there's a spiritual potency involved in the practice that's done every day for a long period of time with great faith. Then great faith means then with some shelter, some grounding, some anchor in some authoritative message, a descending authoritative message, which means faith in the message and faith in the source of the message. Both. And that's that's the path to get there. And when does the bell ring? When there's no material desire. That's the filter. Material desire means something other than Krishna's desire. That's my desire. There's something other than Krishna's desire. So how do we know Krishna's desire? You have to know Krishna. You know Krishna through Guru Sadhu Shastra. So your life is just aligned. It doesn't go anywhere. That takes practice over a period of time with faith. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki